Let's welcome in Ryan Wilson and Rick Spielman, the gentlemen of With the First Pick. So, Ryan, I'll give you first word here. What, if any, is there a fallout in terms of Caleb Williams, who many regard as the top prospect in the draft?
So, Tommy, Rick and I talked about this morning on With the First Pick podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, you can check out the entire conversation. But basically, the takeaway for me was this. The first half, as Caleb alluded to, was absolutely atrocious. Making throws he shouldn't have made. There were miscues by teammates on the offense. But at the end of the day, Caleb has the ball in his hands. He made those decisions. The upside for me, they're getting the break speed off of him at half. He comes out at halftime, and he stays focused. He makes some NFL throws that we've seen in previous weeks and years, and he does not give up. And we know at times, whoever you are, you might be like, this game is a wrap. I'm going to pack it in and look forward to next week. Caleb did not do that, and I give him a lot of credit for that. And I think that, for me, is the biggest takeaway, because the athleticism, the arm strength, the ability to run, the decision-making are all there. We got to see some bad Caleb, and I think that's a good thing for the evaluation process. And I feel as good as I did before Saturday about his prospects as an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I'm going to say I even feel better, understanding how poorly he played in the first half, understanding the poor decisions he made, just throwing the ball up for grabs a couple times. The ball got tipped, threw 3 interceptions. But really, what stood out to me the most, like Ryan indicated, was the way he played the second half. Didn't have any turnovers, came in focused, showed plays that he's going to have to make in the NFL, showed that he has the maturity. If he has a bad first half, can come back and respond and play very well in the second half on the national stage up in Notre Dame. So to me, I thought this was a huge growing process for him, an indication that if he does have struggles or does hit adversity at the NFL level, that he's more than capable, mentally capable of coming back and playing well in the second half.
Yeah, there's a couple things, guys, right? It's tough to repeat as Heisman winners. We've seen that historically only happen once with Archie Griffin. And to your guys' point, there's a big enough sample size, I think, that Caleb Williams is an elite-level talent and that he can bounce back from a performance like he had at Notre Dame. All right, let's get to Michael Penix Jr., who was already, before last weekend, guys, the favorite to win the Heisman, but now he is massively a favorite, and that win over Oregon certainly helps with that. Rick, I'll start with you because much of the country perhaps doesn't know a lot about Michael Penix Jr. Maybe they saw him for the first time, but what stood out to me at least is the accuracy. What do you like about Michael Penix Jr.? What are some other things to take away from the lefty quarterback?
Yeah, we've been watching him since last year, and then I watched all of his tape this year, and I watched him on the biggest game of the season against Oregon. And he is not a true athlete to get outside the pocket, to make off-schedule type throws. But to me, he is the most accurate thrower of this draft class from the pocket. He stands in there tall, he'll take a hit, but he delivers the ball on time. His release quickness reminds me a little bit, I know they're both left-handed, and I'm talking about release quickness only, a lot like Tua's release quickness and what we're seeing him do in Miami, getting the ball out of his hands. But he has 3 NFL-type receivers to throw to. He throws the deep ball better than anyone in this draft class, and I think he's going to continue to climb up the draft boards.
Yeah, it's been so much fun to watch Michael Penix Jr. And Tommy, you remember when he was in Indiana, had the 2 ACLs, had the 2 shoulder concerns, and Rick's pointed this out several times on the podcast. In the year and a half he's been at Washington, there have been no injuries, and knock on wood, that continues to be the case. He got hit in the mouth a bunch early on in that Oregon game, popped right back up, and had to make throws, and he made them. We saw the highlights there, the last 2 throws of the game. One, a hole shot to Jalen Polk, the final one to Roma Dunze, who was going to be a first-round pick as well. And Tommy, I've talked to teams that like Michael Penix as a first-round pick as we sit here in the middle of October, and I don't know what would have to happen for that to change, because as Rick has noted, he has been absolutely balling out. He's not the athlete that Caleb Williams is, but he does a lot of things that you're looking for from an NFL quarterback, and in the right system, I think he can have a ton of success at the next level.
He's had a lot of it so far with Kalen DeBoer and that Husky team. By the way, if we go flip side of that big game, Rick, what did we learn, if anything, new about Bo Nix?
Oh, boy, me and Ryan are going to disagree on this one a little bit. So I recognize Bo Nix has been in college since 1972. It seems like he was at Auburn, then he's been at Oregon. He has matured as a quarterback, playing much better than he did at Auburn. To me, he is not the same pocket passer with the same accuracy as Penix, who we just talked about. Where he excels is when he's outside the pocket. He can create on his own. He can buy a second chance. He makes some incredible throws that are off schedule. But if you're going to put him in a system and have him sit there and take a 3-5 step drop and get the ball out, go through progression 1, go through his next progression and his next progression, he's not going to have success. I think he's going to be in a system that he can get outside the pocket, do some things like maybe a Baker Mayfield can do, but I don't think he has the same accuracy as Michael Penix, who we just talked about.
You know, we've seen the strength of the Pac-12 this year, guys, and it has been in large part due to the quarterback play. That includes Shadur Sanders out in Boulder, Ryan. But it's been up and down in terms of his prospects as a pro. Where do we stand after the tough loss for them against the Cardinal last weekend?
Yeah, Tommy, when we were in the halcyon days of the Colorado program earlier in September when they were 3-0, Rick and I spent every week talking about Shadur Sanders and that offense and what they were able to do. And we were both agreed that he's a first-round talent. It looks like he will probably return to school with his dad for another year. But here's the other thing, and you talk about the losses that they've strung together recently. He is running for his life, and I would imagine that Coach Prime is going to go out and find some offensive linemen during the offseason to help out Shadur should he return. But Shadur's being asked to do a lot with a little in front of him, and by and large, he's had a lot of success. Now, there's only so many times you can get hit in the mouth and not start to have your eyes drop when you take that 3 or 5 step drop. But we're seeing here, he's a better athlete than perhaps we thought he was coming out of Jackson State. He makes great anticipation throws. He throws a pretty good deep ball, and you see here, he understands where the ball needs to go in critical situations. But for me, the issue is just the lack of consistency because the offensive line has not been consistent. But I like a lot about his game, and above the neck, there's no one sharper than Shadur Sanders.
And if we finish this segment, guys, talking about quarterbacks that are rising, so a handful of guys that we haven't been talking about, and I'll give each of you guys a player to target here. Ryan, I'll start with you because obviously you compile this list here. What's a quarterback that we should be keeping our eye on?
Rick doesn't want me to talk about Spencer Rattler anymore, even though I'm a huge Spencer Rattler fan. So I'm going to go and stay out west in the Pac-12, where the best quarterbacks in the world currently live, and the conference won't exist in a few months. Cameron Ward out of Washington State. He has been a lot of fun to watch in the 2 years he's been at Washington State. More of a gunslinger last year. He's gotten better this year inside the pocket. Another guy with throws a great ball, has a good arm, throws with anticipation. One of the concerns is that he doesn't always play on time. And what I mean by that is that if the ball's supposed to come out at 5 steps, he'll hold the ball and try to make a bigger play instead of settling for the underneath route, for example. But I think there's a huge upside here. He's not going to be a top 50 pick almost certainly, but he certainly could be a late day 2, early day 3 prospect with huge upside down the road. A lot of playmakers on that offense. It starts with Cam Ward, and he's had a great season to date if you disregard the last 2 games where they have certainly struggled against really good defenses at UCLA and the University of Arizona.
Yeah, Ryan, not so fast. You better go look at J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback at Michigan. And I watched all his tape today and went back and watched his game against Minnesota, watched his game against Indiana this past weekend. Now, he's not a quarterback, and Jim Harbaugh is not going to have him throw 50 times a game like we see some of these other quarterbacks. But he's long, he's athletic, he can throw from the pocket. He's more of an anticipatory thrower. By that, I mean he doesn't have a cannon for an arm, but he gets the ball out on time. He's athletic enough to get outside the pocket. He can make plays that are off schedule. He's a very accurate thrower when he does have time. And this kid just gets better and better every week. And there's not a lot of discussion on him, but I think he's going to be one of the biggest risers in this draft if he continues to play with the efficiency in a pro-style offense like Jim Harbaugh runs at Michigan.
Sadly, guys, we're out of time. That was a nice conversation. And then we also got to sneak in Rick going all Corso and Ryan, the not so fast to R-Dub there. Ryan and Rick, guys, certainly appreciate it. Check them out. These are the zingers you get on the podcast, by the way, if you check them out on YouTube. With the first pick, the latest one had the mock draft 3.0, full first-round picks for all 32 selections. It's Ryan, it's Rick, and Josh Edwards, one of our other mock draft analyst guys, breaking it all down for you.